Hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now today's video is going to be a selection of highlight clips from the past few days, and we're starting off here on Mississippi Acres, where you guys will have just seen me spot a guaranteed diamond level 5 raccoon. As I said, he is a guaranteed diamond with that minimum score estimate of 12, so I was very excited to see this guy. And with him having such a good score estimate, I was hoping that this guy might be something I've been looking for. And walking over to him, you can see he is that blonde fur type, which is really beautiful. But I was crossing my fingers, and when I picked him up, he was exactly what I was hoping he'd be, a max weight, max score diamond raccoon. That is a really cool find, and I was very happy to actually harvest this guy. But this clip also gives me an opportunity to talk about something else. Almost all of the clips in this video, apart from this one and two others, were actually in single player. This is in multiplayer, and a couple of the other clips will be in multiplayer. But you guys may see in the bottom left corner, there's a guy getting knocked out all the time and then harvesting animals at an extremely quick rate. And that unfortunately was a hacker that joined just, I think, around the time I spotted this guy, and was just flying around the map harvesting everything. And that is why a lot of these clips are going to be from single player grinding, because I've been going away from multiplayer more recently, because it's almost every session has some form of hacker or cheater in it, and it's just frustrating because you don't want to be in those sessions. As soon as I harvested that raccoon, I was gone and I left that session. And that is kind of what led me to starting a second Red Deer Great One grind here on Te Arawara, was just because I wanted to go more to single player. And I did promise you guys that I had the clips of the 3 diamonds that I shot in the lead up to shooting the Great One, and this was the first one that I actually spotted. This beautiful level 9. Now, this is actually the smaller version of the big rack for a legendary red deer, so it's not the smallest rack possible for a diamond, but this isn't the biggest rack style either. And it's very easy to tell the difference because of the split brow tines, and there's also some other differences in the rack, but that is the easiest one to tell, and you can probably just see it there as he's feeding. Now, I decided I wanted to take my Great One Red Deer with a bow if I could actually get one to spawn, and so I decided I may as well start practicing on all the diamonds that were going to lead up to that Great One. At this point, I had no idea that grind was going to be over so quickly. And as this guy was feeding around here, I just waited for him to pick his head up, and then once I was comfortable, took the shot with the bow. Now, I was using the rangefinder sight because this was the first time I'd been using the bow in a long time, so I figured I would just start off with that just to get myself a little bit more comfortable with using the bow. But I don't know if you guys will have seen, but right as I took that shot, another stag pushed him, and I was really concerned that it wasn't going to have hit where I wanted it to. But there was vital blood on the ground, and this arrow was about exactly where I wanted it, so I was really happy with that, because I really thought that when that other stag shoved the legendary, that he might have pushed him too far and caused the arrow to not go where I wanted it to. But picking him up, he is a diamond 253.80. Again, he's not the biggest of the diamond red deer out there, but still an incredible looking stag. He is absolutely beautiful, and as you'll see, got right into the double lung, which is exactly what I wanted to do, and I was just really happy. This was my first diamond with the bow in a little while, and I was just happy that I'd actually managed to pull it off, even with the other stag coming and almost messing it up for me. But that was a really positive outcome. As I said, first diamond of the red deer grind, and the first diamond with the bow that I'd taken in a little while. Now, this next one, I have to explain the entire situation. So, this was the day that I ended up getting the Great One, and this particular diamond red deer, it ended up going completely wrong, but also went wrong in the best way possible. It was really crazy what happened. So, as I'm crawling in here, I thought that I had my bow equipped as one of my slot items. But I was getting really close. I wanted to be at about 25-ish meters, and then I was going to stand up and take him with the bow. I was really happy with the positioning of where he was, and I've also got cover here because of the trees. Happy with the wind, I was just happy with everything. But as you guys will notice, I start to cycle through my weapons here in a second when I stand up. And the bow wasn't equipped because I had unequipped the bow because I didn't want to keep accidentally going to it when I was trying to shoot deer quickly with the 300 and the M1. And I start cycling through there and I knew I didn't have it and I was like, oh no. So I quickly go into my inventory and put the bow into the correct slot there and make sure that I'm using the correct arrows. And I could see and hear the hinds that were spooking around me, and I knew it was going to make this guy either flee or go alert. And he did go alert, and I was really gutted because I spent quite a long time crawling in to get into position and stay hidden. And then he knew I was there. And I started to really, really panic that maybe he was just going to not give me a shot now after all of that time. Now, he started walking back towards me there, and I was like, okay, you can stop there. You can stop there. Please stop. Oh, he's not stopping. And this is when I realised things were going to get really interesting real quick, because he was not stopping, and he was just walking pretty much broadside to me, but coming closer and closer and closer. So I equipped the bow, and as you guys will see, he goes alert and goes to fleeing, and I managed to clutch a shot into his lungs right before he flees. Animals in this game will automatically flee normally when they get to around 7 meters. They just will spook normally. And you can see that's exactly what happened there. He couldn't see me, he couldn't smell me. That's not what spooked him. It was just he got so close that he knew I was there, but managed to pull off that shot right before he actually, turned and fled. And that split-second decision to take him with the bow honestly resulted in one of the coolest kills that I've had in a long time. Just that interaction was so fun. Having him just walk to within 7.5 meters, it says there. That was incredible. And, such a big stag at night with the bow, getting to see the tracer arrows working was really, really cool. And that carries on into this clip as well. This was the second diamond I ended up shooting, but I've rearranged the clips just because I wanted this one to be the last one of the red deer. But this was actually the second diamond I ended up shooting, and the previous one was the last one of that grind. This guy gave me so much hassle and wouldn't let me get closer than 40 meters. So I ended up taking a 40-meter bow shot at night with the tracers, and we actually got to see the flight of that arrow. And he ended up running almost straight to me and then actually, falling over. It was just so cool to actually see that arrow fly for that distance. I was so happy. But with this guy being, as I said, this was actually the second stag of the grind I shot, he was a max weight. And once I shot this guy, I had a feeling that things were going to move on real quick. And it was just incredible to get the second diamond of the grind to be a max weight. And then it wasn't that long after that I went and shot the stag that you guys saw in the previous clip just now. But that was so awesome. Actually getting to do that 40-meter shot with a bow, I really liked it. And it just really, I don't know, something about using the bow on these big stags was really fun. And even though this guy is a max weight, he's not my biggest stag. He is a 265.7, which is a really nice size red deer, but not my biggest. But a max weight is always really encouraging when you're grinding for a great one. As I've said before, every single great one grind I've ever done, there's been at least one max weight animal before the great one has shown up. And that rang true in this grind as well. Because as you guys will have known, after I got that third and final diamond, on the next run I think it was that I did for red deer, the great one did show up. And I of course posted that video a couple of days ago now. But moving over onto fallow deer, and I ended up shooting this guy in multiplayer. Even though I wasn't necessarily looking for diamonds, finding level 5 fallow is always really cool. But this kind of gives a nice segue into the next clip, where I have been grinding fallow deer on my own map, looking for a bigger piebald and also a melanistic. I really would like to find a melanistic. It's the only rare for fallow deer I've never shot, but I haven't got one yet. but I ended up getting this guy on my map. That is a really nice size level 5 fallow deer. And as I've been basically just shooting as much stuff as I can in single player with the bow, I decided I would also try and sneak in and get this guy with the bow. There's something really nice about actually having the ability to take your time when you're in single player, and you know, there's no rush or worry about other players being around, so you really can just take your time and move in and, you know, take an animal like this with the bow. And if he spooks off, you can reset the time, reset your game, come back, and you know that he's going to be there in that area again as long as you've got his zone, which is something that in multiplayer you can't do. If you're trying to bow hunt something and it spooks off and you're not host of that map, you might not get it to come back to its zone, where, you know, like I said, in single player you can just reset the time and whatever at your leisure. But I had to get some pictures of this guy. This was such a cool sight, having this big level 5 so close, and also that really nice level 4 there just behind the tree. Just such a cool sight. I don't get to do this very often because most of the time I'm in multiplayer, and like I said, it's far better to hunt with a rifle in multiplayer just because you don't know when you're going to get kicked, when another player is going to come and try to interfere with your hunt. But in single player I can do stuff like this, and I love taking photos in this game, so I really did make the most of it because this was a beautiful scene. I love the fallow deer, and these level 5s are so impressive. And he was now at the perfect distance, so I zeroed for 20, and as soon as he was, you know, what I was comfortable with that shot there, dropped him on the spot. Almost got chance to take a shot at the level 4 there as well, but he spooked off just a little bit too quickly. But dropping this guy on the spot with the bow, that was really, really awesome. And as I said, these guys are just one of my favourite species in the game. They look so impressive with these huge racks, and I hope we see a fallow deer great one, hopefully in the not too distant future, because I would be so excited to see what they can do with this. But this guy is a diamond, 265.20, again not my biggest one ever, but just a really nice one to take. Double lung there with the bow. Just makes it so much cooler than, you know, necessarily just shooting it with a rifle from a distance. It felt so much more satisfying, and I really, really enjoyed that hunt, and getting to take the pictures of him as well. It was really awesome. But moving from Te Awawara onto Rancho del Arroyo now, and once again, just dipping into multiplayer, I ended up finding this guy. This session, thankfully, didn't have any hackers in it, so I stayed in and took a look around, and I ended up finding this 9 legendary coyote. Took a shot there with the 243, and I knew I must have got vitals, but I was kind of concerned that he didn't drop straight away. Normally, when I've taken shots with the 243 on coyotes, they've dropped straight away, but he was dropping so quickly I couldn't see it being anything other than vitals. And when we pick him up, you can see it was a single lung, and this guy is a diamond at 57.10, and he's actually a fur type that I really wanted to get for a diamond coyote. I like this orangey colour fur type, and I don't think I've got a diamond that looks exactly like that, so I was really happy with that find. But moving back into single player, and I've started to grind for rare bobcats. I would very much like to find an albino and a melanistic bobcat, and I've been shooting them in the crater here, and I actually got a 9 legendary that ended up turning up. And I decided, again, single player, so I wanted to try and take him with the bow. Obviously, you will have seen in that first clip I had spooked them off already. Normally I just shoot them as they run out of the crater with the M1 and it's fine. But obviously in this case I didn't want to try and take any kind of risky shots on this guy. So I reset the time, reset the game, came back, and he was here drinking, and I managed to get really, really close. This took a little while of sneaking in, but it was so worth it. This was one of the coolest things I've done in a little while. 15 meters away from a 9 legendary bobcat. How cool is that? So again, using the single pin sight, and you can see this is a much smaller target than those deer species, and I was very, very nervous about hitting the spine on this guy, and I was just being really cautious because of that drinking animation. So I was like, you know, drawing back and then putting the bow down again and then drawing back. because I didn't want him to do this animation where they put their head down to drink and then me end up hitting spine. So I was waiting until I was pretty confident that I had enough time to get that shot there before he put his head down again. And I know that this is probably a little bit frustrating to watch, but I had to be so cautious. And finally, when I was confident that I had enough time, took the shot, and you can see all that vital blood underneath him. And that arrow was exactly on the money where I wanted to place it. I was so happy to see that. And let's pick him up, crawling around with the bow there in hand. And he is a diamond, 27.8 scoring, tan colour diamond bobcat with the bow at 15 meters. That is one of the coolest kills I've had in a little while, just because taking a predator species like this with the bow, especially a small predator, it's a bit more challenging than just shooting them with the rifle, and I really did love that challenge. And hopefully if I can get some of the rares that I've been talking about, like an albino or a melanistic, hopefully I can take one of those with the bow as well, and that would be really cool. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it, and hopefully with grinding in single player, I'll be able to get a couple of the trophies that I'm really looking for the trophy lodge that I've talked about in this video. Thank you so much for all your support as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.